Life Reflection, Chapter 28, Time and Age, and a little bit about my birthdays, I suppose, while we're on the topic. So for this life reflection, I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion on just my general view on time and how my life has changed over time. Like a big overview of everything, I guess, since we are coming to a close. And I think each celebration of my birthday has been a good indication or indicator of like a part of my mindset and how I thought about that year, I suppose. A tradition of mine, and I'm sure it's a tradition of many people, is that they have like a birthday event. And I've always had one since I was a little kid, even before I could form a memory. I have photos that my mom and my parents took that of my birthdays when I was a kid. And I remember once I started to be able to remember things, we always had like a jumper, a bouncer in the backyard that we rented and cut cake. And I would celebrate my birthdays with my cousin and my other somewhat uncle cousin, basically just 2 years older than me. And it was always really, really fun. I think it started to get really like a lot more memorable once I started to invite my friends around the time of 6th grade and 7th grade. During those ones, I just remember having so much fun playing like random things together, being in the jumper together, always crushing it, always like somewhat toppling it over to the side sometimes, like actively trying to do that. And that one time we played basketball and my cousin like made us all, or made me at least, super surprised and wowed and awed and everything by his skills. And just some random moments as well where for some odd reason we were studying, me and my friend, during one of the events. And this was like 7th grade, and it was the friend that I'm very close to now as well, that I still talk to from back then. And I just remember like we were small enough to like sit in the same like desk chair together somehow and just like study some flashcards for school. And I remember for some odd reason, for the friend that sent me voicemails and all that stuff, I was wearing like her jacket at some point. I don't even know why. But she gave me a present that I still have right now, that I mentioned in a previous episode also. Just a lot of birthday events and things I've gotten because of those events, I'd say, that I cherish very much. They're just gifts from my friends that, you know, I probably wouldn't have gotten unless I like hosted something, because I think it helps to host something. And I remember how back then my parents, or just my mom mainly, because the divorce happened in 7th grade. But after I moved, like there was a whole effort to have my uncles and aunts actually bring my friends all the way to my house, even though it was like a good hour away from where I used to live, possibly longer depending on traffic. But a fair amount of them came. Like I can't imagine that happening these days. Well, obviously since we all drive, so it doesn't need to happen. But I don't know, there's something special about it. Just the amount of effort that was placed into making this yearly thing happen. And my mom worked very hard with making so much food. My grandma would help out as well. But at a certain point, like, you know, my mom was kind of, I think when it hit maybe near the end of high school or college, it was a lot of work basically. And I was getting older and they would, I guess, participate less. Family would participate a little bit less. And it was more friends, which again was very much in line with the times in those moments in my life. I wasn't as connected with family as much as my friends at that point, near the end of high school and the beginning of college. So it eventually became a potluck and the effort was spread across. I also remember there was like a year or two where I just like told my mom, like, because I worked in college, I worked like a couple of jobs. I believe I mentioned them in the podcast episode. So I was able to at least fund my party. It costed a fair amount to just buy everything, like all the food supplies and random decorations sometimes, not too many. But we would always play games I made up. And I thought that was one of the most fun parts about it, was that I would spend some time before the birthday event to just make up some games. Most of them were derivatives of like freeze tag or some form of sport that I knew, like something dodgeball related, something like capture the flag related, just like variations of things I knew how to play. And I remember the time when we did some escape rooms all the time. I would also create my own like versions of not a full-on escape room, but just like versions of elements that you would see in an escape room, and people had to solve certain puzzles and riddles and look around in the house for certain items. And we even did something like that, like almost like a scavenger hunt outside as well. There was a lot of fun stuff. I remember we played sardines at night as well around like high school time, and everyone was so willing to participate and just like, yeah, those were some great times. I know sometimes I was a little bit too I mean, it's sort of like when you're trying to explain the games to like 30 people or so, and some people will keep talking or some people just aren't paying attention. It gets really difficult. So sometimes I was a little bit maybe rough in high school when I was just saying like, hey, please pay attention. But I didn't say it like that. I was like a bit more forceful. These days I would say, hey, I probably would just walk up to them because like I know them, they're my friends. I just be like, hey, what's up guys? We're about to start. You guys ready? Some more communication skills compared to back then for sure. And not making anyone feel uncomfortable, but rather like everyone who participated like wants to participate because I always ask them beforehand. And some people just watch as well. Attendance was usually, I'd say between high school and years after college, average attendance was around like 40 to 50 people. Not all of them were always around at the same time because some people came earlier and left earlier, but it was a good amount, a mixture of some friends from like all stages of my life, from high school, college, friends that I met after college, friends from elementary school, friends from middle school, and some family members. So it was always a good amount, and I would try to invite, basically everyone who was a friend who had shared a good memory with me. Yeah, but although there was one year that got a little out of hand, I'd say, I think that was like maybe a few years ago where there were just way too many people. I think it was like 60, 70 something that year. And it was because a lot of people were bringing, I guess, unknown people. And I was too okay with it. I think now I would not let that happen again. And then this year, I'd say, was a lighter year for sure. Attendance was only about 30, and I didn't plan anything, so we didn't really go outside and do the yearly activities, which was unfortunate. I think I was just too tired from my Japan adventure for 5 months to really do it properly, even though I still wanted to host it. But each year had many different people, had a lot of people that I just met that year as well. And it was always really, really fun. Like I can see how it progressed, like all the stuff that I tried to do, all the games that I made up, I called it the Teal Tournament. It was a series of games I created, and I tried to assign points, I tried to assign prizes and all that stuff. It was a really, really great experiment, honestly, for just like hosting some sort of game-like thing and just being a host in general, like experience. But it's something about me that I feel like is a good reflection of who I am. It's like those are the things that I love doing, like hosting those games, bringing people together. I'd always get a lot of comments like that, just like people, my friends being like, oh yeah, you're really, really good at bringing people together and all that stuff. But I never really thought of myself that way. I just kind of I say just a lot. I wanted to host a fun event. That's basically it. And a part of it is not just for me. It's for the people. It's for the tradition of always getting together and doing something fun together and seeing each other at least once a year for some people who attend. They always called it like a high school reunion because there were a fair amount of high school friends there. And over the years, some people, they don't respond anymore. They, like when I invite them, they don't say anything. Some people still appreciate that I invite them, even if they missed like the past 3 or 4 years. And some people eventually attend. So it is kind of crazy that, like, I've shown a lot of resilience, I suppose, regarding that. Like invites were always a very scary part. Like I always felt like nervous. I always invited people individually, always messaged them privately, because I think that's the proper way to do an invitation. Like I don't think sending like a mass invite for a Facebook group or anything like that is good enough. It's very impersonal. And if they can't make it, I try to at least like catch up with them a little bit through messaging as well. But there's always that fear of like, oh, is this person going to respond? Because the last time I talked to them was when I tried to invite them to my birthday party last year. So it's always a little weird to see like the above message as me inviting them and then like, oh, is it just going to happen again? And these days I'm a little bit like tired of doing too many non-invites, or if people don't reply. I think if people don't reply at all, then I just drop it. Like I'm no longer going to invite them. But if they do reply and they say like they can't make it, but they appreciate the invite, like then I'll invite them again. I think pretty much the only thing that ends it is if they don't reply. And that's totally fine. I have nothing, these people were people I had very, very fun and awesome memories with. Like, they're still my friends. They're still people I care about. It's just, they're busy. They're doing something. They have other priorities in their lives that, they just didn't have time to reply, or they didn't see it, or they don't consider it a priority. And that's totally fine. But they're always free to reach out and just say hi again, or I'm always open to rekindling a connection, a friendship. But I wanted to talk about all that because it's a big part of my life, I'd say. Like, just having this one event in the year where I host it and try to go all out and bring my friends back together for them to like have fun, and also, invite family as well. I need to start doing that again, honestly. It's like at a certain point I just stopped inviting them, but I think it would be fun to invite them. I know I'm like older now, like I'm not a kid anymore, but I still think bringing people together to just see each other and talk and catch up is good enough. It doesn't have to be necessarily a celebration for me at all, but it's just an excuse, a good excuse to bring people together. And now the whole time and age aspect of things. Like, I've always thought, like, growing older doesn't mean you lose that sense of fun, that sense of like wanting to have birthday events or parties or something like that. Because it is true that a lot of my family, the older, like my aunts and uncles and stuff like that, they're like, why do you still have a birthday party? You're so old already. Like, you're a full adult. And it's a weird mindset to me, because I'm like, what are you trying to say? Like, just because you're an adult, you can't like have fun, or you can't enjoy your celebration of your birthday? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's this weird sort of cultural, traditional thing that makes it seem like the older you get, the more you're dying. So the more you should match your age of like doing slower things or like less fun things. But I don't like that at all. I think that me now is probably one of the strongest me's mentally. Like, I feel like I'm the smartest I've ever been in my life. Like, my ability to learn, my ability to perform, just everything. Like, I know over time when I get like old, that's going to deteriorate, but I feel like that's not going to really be a factor until you are old. And then people act like as if, oh, you're in your late 20s, oh, you're in your 30s now or whatever. And like all of a sudden you just can't do things, or like your body hurts or whatever. But it's not that your body hurts, it's just that you're not moving your body as much when you were younger in school, or because you had like PE, or you had some sort of form of activity where you had to walk around a lot. It's literally not because you're old. It's because you're not using your body correctly anymore. Like, for me, I think I'm peak right now, and I'm in my late 20s. I feel stronger than I was when I was 18 because I've kept up with certain like things. Like, I'm able to still do like similar amounts of reps for my calisthenic stuff. I've maxed out all the way to 19 pull-ups. That's like beyond anything I could do back then. And I'm starting to run again, like, and take it more seriously. And my time is getting better and better. It's like, it doesn't matter until your body actually starts deteriorating. But like, I think it's just in people's minds that because they're getting to a certain age, they are incapable of doing certain things, or their bodies are hurting more or something like that. And it is true that if you're a pro athlete and you are literally maximizing, what your body is capable of, then of course, yes, your prime ages are going to be when you perform your best. But at the same time, like, I still think after those ages, like your prime ages, you'll still be very, very, very good. Like, pro athletes, I've seen some pro athletes in their 30s that are still capable of doing so much. Like Jackie Chan, when he was like 50, was still doing crazy stunts. So to me, it's like this whole age thing about getting older and certain things happening is all in people's heads. Not all of it, again. Like, there's some factor to play for sure. And the older you are, the more time has passed, the more chances of injury, the less you use your body as well, the more time there is to treat your body poorly, especially after school and when work starts. But that's pretty much all it is. Like, I'm a very firm believer in that most of it is maintenance. Most of it is up to you. Like, you have the power to stay healthy with your body and everything like that. I mean, I guess it also depends on your work. If your work is very strenuous and can potentially hurt your body as well, and if you're forced to do it, that's very, very unfortunate. But I do feel like for the most part, you have a good amount of control. And I also think for this, it's the same for like the function of your brain, I think. I truly believe that, like, I noticed it over time, interestingly. Like after college finished and I started reading more books and audiobooks and listening, sorry, that sentence was weird. Listening to audiobooks and reading more books and just learning more in general after college finished, and like really actually wanting to learn and not just like being forced to learn to take a test. Like I felt like I was getting smarter. Like everything I learned, the more experience I got, the more I could relate things back to like things I already knew. And yeah, I really don't know what the science or whatever is, but, and I'm not trying to say like, obviously the science is important, but I really feel like if you're in your 20s, throughout your 20s, like your capacity to learn and use your brain and get smarter in ways is still there. I think like a lot of people say like, okay, you know, your brain capacity or your ability to learn and all that stuff, it's like, you know, as a kid, it's the most important. Yeah, it probably is. But even then, like after your younger ages, I still think like it can develop and get better and get stronger. Like I felt that. And having done my Japanese learning recently, like 30 days of using AI to help me study Japanese, like I really do feel like I'm getting smarter. Like my brain is still capable of remembering so much and figuring out patterns very quickly. Like one of the YouTube comments that I got that was very nice, I appreciate it a lot. They were saying that compared to day 1 of my challenge and close to like day 26 or 27, they were saying like they're very impressed by how much I improved. And I was also very impressed by how much I improved. There's like so much stuff that I went through in 30 days, and like I feel like I learned so much and still I'm capable of so much. So for me, I really don't buy the whole age thing. And I know maybe this is me projecting and this is like my experience with things, so I'm assuming that it's similar for other people. But I've made a video about this a long time ago for YouTube. It's that the best mindset to adopt is the mindset that you are capable, that you can learn more, that you can do more. And even if it isn't true, as long as you believe it, as long as you truly buy into it, like you are adopting the best mindset possible because you're not letting your mind hold you back anymore. You're basically thinking that you can do it, so you try your absolute best. But if you think that you can't do it and you think that you've passed your prime or something like that, then your body's going to start to reflect that, and your efforts are going to start to reflect that. You're going to start to think like, oh, I can't do that anymore. I'm not young anymore. And then all of a sudden that thought alone already is a big barrier. So adopting the best mindset of just believing that despite the fact that you're older, and I know I'm still relatively young, late 20s, but 30 is fast approaching for me. So I think even when I turn 30, like I'm going to still believe that I am in the most capable state of my life, both mentally and physically, because there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing about age than just a number. It's just the amount of time you lived on this earth, and that's it. Like how you treated your body, how you treated your mind, how you've maintained your health for those things. That's like what matters way more than that number. So that's kind of the best mindset, right? Just having full-on belief and faith and not letting your mind hold you back from doing all the things that you can actually do. Because I do feel like your mind can hold you back quite a lot. Like that whole mindset stuff is actually really, really important. I think the reason why I don't talk about it as much or think about it that much is because I already have adopted the best mindset possible. But I do think subtly there are certain things that I can still do better with in regards to mindset. Like, for instance, how difficult YouTube is and how difficult certain things are in general, and how I'm like, can I really do this? I need to stop having that self-doubt and just like, you know, try. Even if it is hard, just do it, just try. Like it's okay if I fail, but just try anyways and believe that you can if you give it your best effort. Yeah, because I have been noticing that a little bit with my playing by ear for piano. Like it's really difficult. It's one of the most difficult skills for sure that I've tried to gain. I am improving. I see the small improvements. Like I feel more, like way more capable now compared to like day one of my challenge. I've done 92 days at this point. So I just need to keep going. Like this is a skill that is going to take time to build, like a year, 2 years. I can't just expect to like improve massively over 90 days, especially when my practice is only 45 minutes average. But either way, time and age. That's my perspective on age, honestly. I've always thought that experience matters way more. Like, take someone who's 50 years old and someone who's 20. If that 50-year-old, all they ever did was go to school, work the same job that doesn't really challenge them, like, it's just a job where they figured it out after 1 week and they just do the same exact thing and they spend most of their time doing that, and then their time off of work is the same. The same stuff all the time. Take that person and someone who's 20 years old who experienced school, like studied abroad, traveled, worked like different jobs and all that stuff in that amount of time. Maybe not 20, let's say 25. That's a better age, I'd say, because you're still kind of in school when you're 20. And I don't think you've experienced that much at that point. Some people might have, but let's say 25, and you have now worked like 4 different jobs and they were all challenging and you learned so much from them, and you tried starting your own business and you failed, but you're trying another one. You're doing so many different things. You're meeting so many people. You're going out all the time, traveling, having different experiences. Like, in my opinion, that 25-year-old, like, I consider them more wise with more experience and wisdom compared to that 50-year-old. Like, people think age and wisdom, like age means wisdom, like older age means wisdom. That's not true. Experience means wisdom. And older age just gives you more time for more experiences, but some people don't take that time to actually experience things. That's why these days I've been really trying to do new things, going out more, and did my whole 5-month adventure in Japan, because those experiences really shape the way I see things, shape the way I feel, and just overall make me a more capable, experienced human being. Like, I can say that, if I needed to figure out how to live in another country, especially if it's Japan, then I could do it. Like, I have the experience. I know how to get around. It's very easy, by the way. Anyone can learn this. I believe that everyone has the capacity to learn so many things. Honestly, after studying Japanese, I really believe that everyone is really intelligent. Like, learning a language is so difficult. Like, a language is literally just like sounds and like combinations of patterns of sounds that we've decided hold a meaning, and we've all agreed to it. Yet somehow, like, despite all the crazy amount of combinations of sounds that you can do, like, we're able to process it and know it over time and learn it. It's just insane to think about. And it's hard to do when you learn a new language, but it's possible, and plenty of people have done it. And the fact that you learned one language at all is already telling of how intelligent you are. Like, I really, really believe that, like, people in general are really smart and intelligent and capable. It's just that a lot of people hold themselves back with, like, the way they think or the way they approach things. But that's my whole spiel on age and time. Of course, things in general, like, over time for me, like me back then as a kid in middle school and high school, even in college, I feel like I've lived my life with, like, one of my eyes closed. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like half asleep in a way. Like, I feel like more awake now, and more, despite the fact that I journaled so much too, like after college finished. And I mean, it might be because I've been on my zero entertainment challenge for, like, I've done 66 days at this point. So it's just really good to have a clear head of just, like, being in my own head for most of the days in the past 2.5 months. It's like I can fully think clearly, and I'm doing this whole life reflection thing, and I'm talking about my days. I'm still journaling about, like, stuff that I do. I'm making so many videos these days, and just trying to, like, move forward, really, really, really move forward and do so many of the things I've always wanted to do. Like, I really do wish that I had this level of lucidity back then. I mean, that's the name of this podcast, right? Just being connected with yourself and having clarity in your life, like knowing what you're doing with your time, with your body, with your mind. But it's not as if I regret my life. I lived it. And I think that's sort of how you start off, is just like, you're not that aware You're not that aware of yourself, your surroundings, the people around you, their feelings, yourself, your goals, your desires, who you are. Like all that stuff comes with time and experience. And even then, like it changes. So you have to always reevaluate. And who knows, maybe like 5 to 10 years from now, I'd be laughing at myself, like in this point in time, just like thinking about how childish I was or how some of my thoughts were so unrefined. I don't know. We'll see. I just think it's interesting to look at yourself over time and how you've grown. And like I was such a unaware kid back then, so angry, so uncareful of the way I treated others, so careless. And as I grew older, I was still serious and quiet and worried of abandonment when I was in high school, always wanting and needing to be with people and having someone to hold on to, and not realizing how the way I was thinking sometimes was just wrong, like having an unhealthy relationship with people around me, I'd say, like my sister, my mom, and my relationship. And then even in college, just things got better for sure, but I still was kind of closed off in a way. I still wasn't ready. Would need to go home on the weekends, ended up getting back with my ex, just having so many things, like so many bad habits and things slowing me down and not letting me grow, just holding on to the past so much, I'd say. And then after college finished, it's when we tried to explore. And I think that's the start. That's the start of me now, just exploring the ways like you can make income, exploring my own thoughts more, reading more, writing more, learning more, eventually traveling more, interacting with more people, and slowly over time just, reaching this point. And I think that's the next topic. So we'll save it for then.